like it's something that you can do to get an even better version of yourself. I think you don't go to yoga because you have a back problem. You can go to yoga because you want to get even more flexible and even more fit and healthy. And I think this is a similar version of that.
Good to see you, Dave.
Nice to see you guys.
Yes. As I explained, I'm a healthcare psychologist and the founder of OpenUp, and we provide mental health care on our platform for anyone that has a question for a psychologist. May I start with asking, how are you doing, Dave?
How am I doing? I'm pretty good. It's 9 o'clock at night. I've just been for a very short run and then a jump into the ocean, which helps me every day to kind of wake up a little bit. So overall, I'm pretty good right now.
How do you look at psychology and talking to a professional?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, of course. I actually studied psychology for a year when I was at university a long time ago because I'm fascinated by the way the brain works, etc. But I think, I think in a way, I think psychology has a bad name in some ways in terms of being like something you need when you have big issues. But I don't think it has to be that way. I think I would love also how people sort of looked at it more as like it's something that you can do to get an even better version of yourself. I think you don't go to yoga because you have a back problem. You can go to yoga because you want to get even more flexible and even more fit and healthy. And I think this is a similar version of that. But even if a bit like me, I don't feel like I've had a huge big problem, but even this chat has helped me to kind of be a slightly better version of myself. So I switched roles yesterday. So today is my second day as VanMoof's chief of staff after almost 6 years as CMO. So it's a big change actually. And then it's also a sort of in some ways on my own. So I moved back to New Zealand, my home country, 15 months ago, with the plan not necessarily to work for VanMoof longer than next April. But I think, COVID happened. We sort of saw that remote working was possible, and I'm very grateful to still be here.
So you already switched to remote working before COVID entered the world.
Yeah, I was ahead of the curve.
Yes. And how was the past year for you and your company with COVID and the remote working?
Yeah, I mean, VanMoof, we were lucky. Like we were, of course, one of the lucky companies that saw a huge surge in demand, basically, and sales as a result of COVID. So bikes were one of the big winners out of COVID. But it definitely didn't make 2020 easy for us. I think it was an incredibly challenging year, for the entire company. Like with that growth came a whole lot of challenges. We grew our number of people from like 250 to 450 within 1 year. And most of those people didn't join in an office. So you've got teams that have sometimes not met each other in person, and onboarding being very different. So it was such a hard year, and nothing to really reference. I felt like we were all sort of the whole world actually making it up as we went along, which was quite a challenge.
And so it was a challenge because you have a lot of new people in the company. It was a challenge because of COVID and the remote working, also because of the rapid growth of your company. And for you personally, what was your challenge?
Yeah, I think staying sane, probably. I think for the first few months, actually, I loved working from home, and especially because I thought it was quite short term. Like I thought I would then go back to Amsterdam for this big launch we had last April, and then it was going to be this great moment with everyone around us and the kind of euphoria of the launch. And then, that's when COVID happened, of course. And then, also that's when I decided with VanMoof to extend, my contract basically.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those shifting things, you know, like I didn't start the year out going, oh, I'm going to be working a year from home for this company in Europe. It kind of just sort of kept on moving. And that was, I think, the case for a lot of people last year. Like you had to stay quite flexible. And so it was fun. And then it really, at a certain point, became not fun, to be honest. Like it felt, I got really lonely through the winter here last year. I think I became quite isolated. Like I wasn't necessarily reaching out to people where I should be. I was just in this mindset of survival, like just keep going, keep moving, keep breathing, stay afloat. And then, that sounds dramatic. It wasn't that dramatic, but it was just this, I don't know, just try and keep moving forward and trust that we'll sort of come out of it. It was also a tough time for the company. Like we had a lot of issues with, delivering bikes on time and quality and stuff. And it wasn't a fun time, actually.
No, I can imagine. And when did you realize that you may have been in a survival mode at a certain point?
To be honest, I think I knew the whole way along. Like it was probably from about May last year until the end of the year. And it wasn't that I didn't talk about it. Like I was talking with my wife all the time, of course, and with certain colleagues, we were sort of, sharing each other's experiences and keeping each other going. But I also, in a way, I didn't see an alternative. Like, I love VanMoof and we were all, that was the good thing. We were all in this together, so it was, try and keep going also for the good of the company, try and look out for colleagues and keep everyone, going. But some days it was hard.
Yeah, I can imagine. And what did you do to stay sane, as you described it? What helps you in this process?
Yeah, for me, like I love my routines. For anyone who worked with me in Amsterdam, you'll know that I used to love going to coffee brew, every single day for my hour out of the office and with my banana bread, and that was my happy place. It was also where I did a lot of my best thinking. And so I've sort of started creating new routines for myself. I think when there was a lockdown here in New Zealand, of course, I couldn't go to a cafe, but that was sort of routines around the house, even like different rooms that I would work from for different modes. And then as things started opening up again, I sort of built that routine back into my day. Like, I still go to a cafe now every day and work from there. Like I said at the start, I swim, every night before I do my calls. I go for a short run and then jump in the water. And I think that's also like a big, that's just a positive thing that I do every day to kind of keep me sane. And I know how lucky I am there. Like I think, I didn't do that every day when I was in Amsterdam in the canals. Yeah. But I think that, for me, that's what works in terms of just those small things every day and trying to eat and drink healthy.
I think routines are very important for us, for people. We are routine based, you could say, that really helps. And was that something you needed to discover in your life, that you run so well with routines?
I think looking back, it's probably always been in my life, but I think I've realized, especially at VanMoof, actually, because VanMoof, it's never felt easy. Like it's, because we're moving so fast, it's always, you never feel comfortable, and so I think I've learned for myself that those routines can really help to make you feel less uncomfortable, and it can be these sort of safe moments every day where things feel good and where you can kind of look at things in a different way. Like, in the past, I think I used to just always, I've had a problem. It was like, I've got to solve this problem. And I keep staring at it until I might magically see the answer. And then now I've kind of learned to take it a bit more slow, and I think that's where the routines are good, because then if you're changing things around in different ways, then then at the most unexpected time, the answer will sort of pop into your head. So it's also about trying to keep it fresh, I think.
The way you describe it, you have become also more maybe wise or smart in the way you work.
Yeah, I think like that's trial and error, right? Like I've made so many mistakes over the years that, but then out of those, you kind of you pull out the things that actually work, and then that's like been the sort of my mantra at VanMoof actually ever since I started. Like just finish every week better than you started. It sounds simple, but I think that sort of mantra can also apply to life. Like don't look at it as this huge big thing that you have to become, way better at. Just like be slightly better tomorrow than you are today, and some days you go backwards and some weeks you go backwards, but yeah, I think eventually you like overall it gets better and better. And it didn't always feel that way last year though. Like I think for me that it felt like there were some months where I was like going backwards that whole month and feeling less happy as it went on and stuff. But yeah, that's where I also sort of trusted actually in the routines and in the company and even in myself. I was sort of doing enough of the right things, and that eventually I would come out of that that tunnel or something.
I really like that approach because it also shows a lot of trust. Right? So you say, I really trust on my routines. As long as I know I do the right things, at the end, I will make progress again. Also, if in a certain period, the progress is less or is even gone. So then you really can rely on your routines. And Dave, have you ever talked to maybe a professional or a coach to get more aware of who you are and how you like to work?
Actually, in the last few months, I've talked with a coach about kind of also more on leadership kind of skills and training, and helping me to see some things in myself that I can improve. And that also really helped. Like, I still talk with her like once a month, and I think it's also great in terms of sometimes just bringing a problem that like, this is something I'm really struggling with, and I know that I'm doing these things wrong, but I don't quite know the way out of it. And then, this lady is actually really, really helpful in terms of shining a light back onto myself, but also like guiding me, towards improvement. And I think that's helped a lot. I haven't done that before.
What would be the advice you would have for your colleagues if it comes down to staying sane? You already revealed two important parts of it. So your routines on the one hand, and also to make small steps towards improvement. So try to improve every day a bit. Are these two the main advice you would give to your colleagues, or is there more to advise or to give tips?
Yeah, I think the third thing is to be vulnerable, like, and to it's in your name actually, to open up. Like, it's so true, and personally, I find that really scary. Like, and I didn't do that for too long last year. I sort of felt like I needed to carry this weight myself and protect the team or protect those around me. But once I started sharing a bit more of some of the things I was struggling with a few people, I realized that everyone was carrying a similar weight bag. And I think that's. Yeah, so it's also a weird way of kind of leading is to say when you're struggling, and then that normally helps also with people, because then they also share what they're struggling with, and I found there were a couple of people last year that really helped me, and I think I was able to help them as well, and we really sort of helped each other through it just by being able to be brutally honest, even if we just had a crap day and there was nothing good about it. It still felt good to say that.
That sounds like a great third advice. So really try to open up, try to show also your vulnerable side, or the things that you find difficult maybe about yourself or your situation. And what does it need? What helped you in opening up?
I guess, shoe on the other foot. If I had a friend who was having a tough time or struggling, I would want them to feel comfortable sharing how they were feeling with me, and so it was sort of also yeah, trusting in my colleagues and in, they're also my friends, so I think it's also unfair to them if you're struggling with something and not sharing it. So yeah. But it was also back to that trial and error thing, to be honest. Like I tried everything that was sort of that I could do myself, and then was still finding it quite tough. And so I thought, okay, screw it. I'm just going to start, just like telling people if I'm struggling, because it is not my normal. Like I think what do you call it? I normally like try and be this positive, optimistic, happy-go-lucky, everything's fine kind of person, which has its positives, but I think it also has a downside. And so I tried to kind of, step out of that and be a bit more honest.
I think what you now share with us is very inspiring to hear, also for maybe people in the company also having questions or struggling at the moment with something. We are from the platform OpenUp. We work together if it comes down to mental health, if it comes down to best practices, if it comes down to opening up. What was the reason for you, Dave, as VanMoof, to work with OpenUp?
Yeah, I think it's an amazing tool, and I think I said it earlier. Like it's just been such a hard year, and nothing could have prepared us for it, And I think we all probably went into it with the same mindset I did. Oh yeah, this is going to be a tough few months. Let's just hunker up and find a way through it. And then as it kept on dragging on, and especially like for most of our team in Europe and the US, it's been a really hard winter. Locked in their apartments and not much to do. So.
Thanks, Dave. I think we have discussed a lot in this conversation. I'm really thankful that you're so open. I would really conclude that you have these three best practices. One is your routines. You can always count on your routines. I think that's something that every human being needs, routines. But the second is to make small steps towards change, towards improvement. And if there's a phase in which you cannot improve, you can always rely on your routines. And then the third one is to open up, to share with people, to not carry it alone. So to get out of this isolation and to open up a bit. And of course, you can start with small things to open up to see how it goes, the trial and error that you describe. And then maybe you can open up more and you will feel better supported by other people. Is there anything more you would like to add to the conversation?
No, I think maybe in the middle of it all last year, I think the thing I forgot personally was that, especially what we do at VanMoof, like it's so amazing. Like we're changing the way people move in cities, and we always have the saying, like, it's just bikes, as in we shouldn't overcomplicate it too much. And we should also keep this fun, and I lost that myself a little bit last year. I lost the fun, and I think, I'm guessing a lot of people are feeling this right now because we've become like super hyper efficient, in terms of the way that we work. And I feel like we're achieving more than ever before, but we're forgetting, or in some ways we've often forgotten about the fun. And I think I've also watched in admiration as some of my team have tackled this in the last few months. They've managed to like bring fun back into the team environment and just silly ways, like like changing everyone's backgrounds on a Zoom call to play a prank on someone, or like there are small and creative ways that you can bring that fun back. And I think that's also, I guess I take that responsibility personally for myself. Like no one else is going to make me enjoy my job, so I've got to find ways to get that balance right. And that's hard. That's something I'm still a long way off succeeding with.
Wow, I would say that's really maybe the best way to finish our conversation is to develop fun together. I think that's the best thing we can do to stay sane. Have fun.